and just saying, tune into the spiritual traditions like Kali or Durga or Hecate or Archangel Michael and slay what you don't want in your life experience. Only one gets to exist. This monster wants to just suck out all the joy in your life so that you don't want to be here anymore. And when you slay the monster, you are choosing yourself. Because we're talking about how to slay your money monster, I feel like you probably want some ideas on how to do it.
Of course, yes. Please share.
That question comes up a lot. So here are some very popular examples. Because it's all imaginary. So you get to use any tool you can imagine. So a machete or a lightsaber or a flamethrower. I really like flamethrowers. A volcano, a fiery pit, which is like a smaller volcano, sharks, a meat grinder for the really bloody person here. And I have one client who ran over her monster with a monster truck.
Talking with the experts.
Hello, and welcome to Talking with the Experts, where we talk about all things business by business owners for business owners. And my name is Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. And today my guest is Morgana Rae. And Morgana is the international #1 best-selling author of The Financial Alchemy, 12 Months of Magic and Manifestation. She's a 7-figure life and business coach and has been for close to 3 decades. And Morgana is regarded to be the world's #1 authority on relationships with money. Welcome, Morgana, and thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about how to slay your money monster and and create this new relationship with money, because I know personally I don't have a good relationship with money. I try, but it's just one of those things that you don't often think of.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was a surprise to me. I'll give you a little bit of my background, how I got here, because being, this relationship with money coach was never on my radar. It wasn't something I aspired to do. It was just that I was failing so spectacularly in the money department. And this was with movie star clients. Hollywood people wanted to work with me. They were getting results really quickly. I had this reputation. It was like I had this line of people who wanted to work with me. And I was taking all the classes. So I had, the business cards and the taglines and brochures. We had brochures way back when, remember?
Yes.
Like physical paper with,
I know.
Oh my God. And taglines and testimonials and all that stuff. So you would, and did I mention like half a dozen certifications and this, that, and the other thing, because I'm an education junkie. And I kept thinking, oh, well, if I become a relationship coach, if I become a business coach, if I become a master of neurolinguistic programming, if I become a trainer of neurolinguistic programming and all that, then I'll make money. And I didn't. And even with all this, with the reputation and the testimonials, I was at my lowest point, struggling to make $100 a month in Los Angeles, one of the most expensive cities in the world. So thank you for the reaction, right? I wasn't making enough money for my rent. I was borrowing money. I was living on credit cards. And so not only was I not earning money, but I was throwing all this money at classes and coaches and not getting results. And by the way, it's not that the classes were bad. The coach was fantastic. It was that nothing in the world was powerful enough to overcome my own superpowers of money repulsion. And I didn't figure this out until I was having an epic dark night of the soul where I'd just taken this class on overcoming sales objections, where they give you the scripts on, oh, if they say I can't afford it or I don't have time, you say this. And I'm a good student, so I did everything I was told. And 7 people in a row, I overcame their objections. And 7 people in a row didn't show up for our first coaching call and didn't pay. And that's when I lost it. I sputtered out of like my last gasp of hope. And I joke about it now, but I wasn't at the time. I just felt like I didn't want to be alive.
Yeah, I've been there plenty of times. Yeah, I do know that feeling.
Dark, dangerous, horrible place to be. And also incredibly useful for my process. So let me just say, I'm not a sadist, despite appearances. I'm not a sadist. I'm not going to make anybody suffer here. But if you are feeling anxious, if you're feeling challenged, it's going to make this easier for you. Because my process, I call it alchemy, financial alchemy, like the name of my book, because alchemy is the transmutation of lead, like lead in human experience, into gold, spiritual and material gold. So if any of you have been like ganged up on by positive thinking, law of attraction police telling you to like positively vibe while you're worried you're going to be out on the street, what I'm telling you is you get to have all of your experiences and make them useful. And it's not your fault for having some negative vibration when something in life hurts. We're actually going to use it and exploit it. It's like a slingshot. And that tension of what you want to change creates the power and the momentum to catapult you over to where you want to be in a way where it sticks. So when I talk about the money monster, that was an accident. I was in this really dark, despairing, hopeless place. And, thank heaven I had a coaching call the next day. Yeah, of course I can't pay my rent, can't pay my insurance, can't pay my gas, can't pay my food. And I still have a coach. Thank goodness. It saved my life. This was a wonderful coach. We graduated from coaching school at the same damn time. And he was marvelous and wonderful and giving me all sorts of tips, and I would do everything and it didn't work. Not his fault. And this day, when I was in such a horrible place and he just didn't know what to do or why nothing was working, he, out of some like weird left field moment of inspiration, asked me the weirdest question, and it changed my life. He asked me, Morgana, if your money was a person, who would your money be? And I saw who my money was instantly, and it was nothing that I expected. At that moment, my money was this big, scary, dirty, violent biker who caused fights and terrified me. And I could imagine myself at a live event with my eye on him constantly to create maximum distance between us. And that was my light bulb moment, because until that moment, I had no idea that I was protecting myself from money or that I felt that way about money. And because I was in such a dark place, it just materialized so easily to me, and he felt so real. I could feel like my whole body cringing, and I could feel the fear. So it wasn't some intellectual exercise. Well, if money were, it just wasn't that. It was a full body experience, which is necessary for this to work. This is how we light up all the neurology, which allows us to rewire your brain. So we want to like activate all the stuff you don't want, because again, it creates that leverage. and it wakes you up so we can change it. So this biker here was so horrible, and I knew there was no way to change him, and there was no way that I could have money in my life if it was that guy. So I had to end that relationship. At the time we just broke up. I don't do that anymore now, and I'll walk you through the steps in a moment. This is the cliff notes. I don't know if you have those in Australia. We have those in the US, like, little outlines. Okay. So I'm just whipping you through really, really fast. But now, because I've coached thousands and thousands of people through the process, and they've taught me what works. And when we get rid of the monster, I'm like serious about slaying. The bloodier, the better. Don't allow any bloody bits to reconstitute into some sort of monster zombie. It's like my mom was into this 1980s show called Highlander about.
Yes.
I mean, who doesn't love a guy in a kilt? But I remember. I remember this. I never really watched the show, but I remember the line, "There can only be one." And that is true here. It's like the monster is the embodiment of everything that has ever made you feel unworthy, unloved, or unsafe. And all that stuff is the blueprint for your financial experience. Your relationship with money is a mirror of, are you loved? Are you worthy? Are you safe in the world? So you'll never, ever find your monster in your money story. It's the stuff behind the money story, the stuff that came before that. Anything in your childhood, growing up or later, lovers or friends or parents, anything that ever made you feel unloved, wounded, unlovable. Anything that you've done that maybe you're ashamed of or taught you that you weren't valued. Even if it's current or long, long ago, especially if it doesn't look like it has to do with money, but some stuff does, like clients rejecting you or business partners betraying you, anything that has ever made you feel unsafe, including eating disorders, which is such an expression of not being loved and feeling like you're so not worthy of being alive that you erase yourself through that slow form of suicide. Accidents, violence, things going on in the world that scare you. You just want to put all of that. You're like building a case against existence. And I'm so nonlinear, but this is the first step. Then you imagine there's this horrible being that's responsible for it and targeting you. And that is your monster. It will not feel like it has anything to do with money, but it wants you dead. And when you feel how scary it is, that will make your financial situation will make a lot of sense. Because money is power, and every power abuse is tied in with how we see money being abused. So that's step 2, is you meet your money monster, you personify it, you make it real, don't make it cartoonish. Step number 3 is you annihilate it. By any means necessary. It's your imagination. And I attract a lot of extremely nonviolent vegans. And it's imaginary. Because I had a client once many, many years ago who was really uncomfortable killing her monster because she's a vegan. I'm just saying, tune into the spiritual traditions like Kali or Durga or Hecate or Archangel Michael and slay what you don't want in your life experience. Only one gets to exist. This monster wants to just suck out all the joy in your life so that you don't want to be here anymore. And when you slay the monster, you are choosing yourself. Because we're talking about how to slay your money monster, I feel like you probably want some ideas on how to do it.
Of course, yes. Please share.
That question comes up a lot. So here are some very popular examples, because it's all imaginary. So you get to use any tool you can imagine. So a machete or a lightsaber or a flamethrower. I really like flamethrowers. A volcano, a fiery pit, which is like a smaller volcano, sharks. A meat grinder for the really bloody person here. And I had one client who ran over her monster with a monster truck. Love that. You can blow it up with a nuclear bomb, or you can blow it up with love. The whole thing is what will really get rid of it. Because at some point, I'm going to ask, is it gone? And you will check and you'll know. It's either gone or there's a little bit left, and you can create, that's fine. You can just create a little mini monster and get rid of that. Or you can go deeper, and maybe if the first monster doesn't feel like it was real, then like peel off the costume and see what monster is hiding behind that one until you get to the real one and you get rid of it. And how you know you got rid of it is it'll feel different than anything you've experienced in your life. Because a thing that I know about monsters, again, coaching so many thousands of people, a lot of them have made lots of millions of dollars since I coached them quickly. Sometimes the deeper the pain, the bigger the payoff. I hate, and now I regret saying that, because I want you to feel a win, like whatever you manifest. It's just a journey. So when the monster is gone, it will feel different. And some of it, it's been with us our whole life and maybe generations. So it may feel light and expansive. It may feel scary. All of that is good, because I'm just listening and feeling for difference, for emptiness, because that creates a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. So something needs to be put into that space before some like random monster walking down the street lands in there. So when I got rid of my biker dude, I had a problem because I had just gotten rid of my relationship with money, and I live in Los Angeles. That's not going to last. So I had this real problem because money had felt like this very, very abusive relationship. And if you've ever been in a bad relationship, you don't want to go back into that. By the way, if you've ever gotten out of a bad relationship, that's such a useful life skill for this process. So I knew I didn't want a relationship with money, because it had been this kind of demoralizing, soul crushing, abusive, horrible cause of fights and hopelessness and powerlessness. And so I thought to myself, well, who could I want in my life so much that I would want this person, even though it's money? Not because. And just like the monster didn't feel like it had anything to do with money, the replacement didn't feel like it had anything to do with money. When I asked myself that question and I really opened myself up, again, instantly, and by the way, I'm not good at visualization. So anybody out there who's just not good at that, I'm the person, if you take me on a guided visualization and we're sitting by a river, I'll spend the next 40 minutes trying to decide which river. But when the emotion is that big, it's like the person shows up. And you can start with, well, what is he, how big is he? What does he feel like? What does he smell like? What do his fingers look like? That's really good monster stuff. What I call the money honey feels like love. When you have slayed and rejected everything that you don't want in your life experience anymore, all that's left is love. And so this is a person who loves you and chooses you over everybody else in the world, because it's your relationship. I'm going to say he because mine is a he. I found from experience that a romantic relationship works best. I think because lovers are equals. Your money honey is not God or Oprah, because they're way up here. This is a person who loves you, who is vulnerable, whose heart you can break, but doesn't have like any imperfections or any of your neuroses. And you can break his heart because he loves you. You can break his heart by hurting yourself. Just imagine when you love somebody and you see them hurting themselves, how painful that is for you. So it's that kind of thing. And he sees you in your like truest self, your most powerful, resourceful, brilliant self, not all the crap that we put on ourselves from moment to moment. So you get to see your eyes through the beloved. And that not only changes your relationship with yourself, it changes your relationship with everybody else. And if if you're in a romantic relationship, that will either improve if it's a good relationship, or it'll go away if it's not a good relationship. Warning. But you always have choice, especially in this relationship. You have the body. Your money honey is not some fairy Santa Claus who's going to go out and do your life while you sit on the couch, because that doesn't evolve you. And you have the body, you have the power. So I asked myself this question, and I instantly imagined this tall, dark, handsome, romantic young guy with slick back hair in a tuxedo holding a bouquet of red flowers. Right? Like beautiful and in love with me, which was really weird and wonderful and not anything I'd ever thought of or expected. Was this money loved me and wanted to be with me. And I was in such the habit of pushing him away all those years and breaking his heart, treating him like a monster. I didn't know how to let him be with me. So I asked him, what do you need from me so you can be with me? Let me know what to do. And the great thing is, when you ask a question, you get an answer, especially if you imagine it coming from outside yourself. Which is why, by the way, the monster is never you, and the monster is not your parents, because we aren't killing you or the parents. And we make the monster outside of you so you get to keep all the good stuff of you. I sort of just channel as I talk. So, okay. We're on step 5. Step 1 is uncover the root cause. Step 2 is personify the money monster. Step 3 is slay the money monster. Step 4 is meet the money honey. Step 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is have a conversation with the money honey. So I asked him, what do you need from me? And he said, I need you to love me and stop treating me like a monster. And I could feel his vulnerability. And it wasn't that love of money is the root of all evil stuff. It's, first of all, the original this is where I become like the religion major from Smith College and get all geeky. But the original Aramaic of that line was, the worship of money will cause problems. And, can I get a hell yes? We're not supposed to worship money. But love is not evil. Love is not exploitation. Love does not cause harm. Love does not hurt other people. Love does not hurt us. Love is expansive and joyous. It's noble. It's like our most divine self. It's abundant. It's not scarcity. It's not cheating or greed or envy or covetous. That, love gets a bad rap. But love is when your cup runneth over, that kind of love that brings out your best. So we're almost there to the 6th step. Is great. My money honey wants me to love him and stop treating him like a monster. What does that look like? Well, every time he sent me a client who would ask me what I charged or how much, how I worked, it took me like 10 years to figure out that was code for what do you charge? For all of you, just know that I've made millions of dollars, but this is where I started. So I would when somebody would ask me what I charged, I would get so uncomfortable, like shame and embarrassment. But I have gifts. I just want to give my gifts away. I just want to heal and help people. By the way, I'm still like that. I just have to make money such a lovable person that I can include him in the conversation. So where I used to be like, ew, don't look at that like stinky, scary monster money. Let's not talk about that, which is what I was doing unconsciously. Like I had no clue I was doing this until the next day, 4 people called me up and they wanted to hire me. And I could feel myself wanting to vomit. Do you want a sample session? No, we had a sample session 6 months ago. They wanted to hire me, right? And so I got to put into practice an agreement that I made with my money honey the day before. That when he brought me a gift, I would say thank you. And what that would look like is, this is my fee. with this feeling of love and appreciation and respect for my money honey, the guy who doesn't feel like money, but we're going to call him money because that's the area of my life that needs love and healing. That's the area that our whole planet needs love and healing. So I made an agreement that I would say thank you. What that looked like was when people tried to hire me, I would say, okay, this is my fee. And by the way, drum roll, this is the most important skill in a sale. Shut up. It's really the hardest part, I promise you. But when they get all silent after you've given your fee, they are figuring out how to make it happen. If they don't want to hire you, okay, great. Not your ideal client, but ideal clients are like effortless. You don't have to convince them of anything. So give lots of value so they know who you are and what you do, so that when you have that conversation, they already want you. And then it's just a matter of making it work. So they already wanted me. I gave them the fee, and then I literally had to bite my tongue and sit on my hands. And I'm on a phone. Like the Zoom didn't exist back then in the dark ages. And they said, okay. And they sent me checks, and I had clients, and then they kept coming. And then I started getting wait lists and doing groups and virtual products and retreats and charging more and more and more. Because at every, I know I'm cramming in a lot of information. At a certain point, the fee that felt so stretchy and right, one day you say that number and there's this sinking feeling of self-betrayal and sort of a resentment. And that's your signal that it's time to go to the next level, so that you can give everything you have without resentment, without having to hold it back, without feeling like a victim, so that you can afford to be generous and put all of your love and energy into serving. So
I've just recently experienced that with my pricing. I was charging what I thought was a good price. And then I came across this business coach who I've subsequently hired, said, Rose, you're not charging enough. You've got to, quadruple your prices, because of your time is worth more than what you are telling people. People aren't going to buy from you because you're too cheap. And I thought, oh my God, you're right. So I re-looked at everything, and I actually sent out my first invoice today with the new pricing. And, I had a moment of guilt, and I thought, no, it cost me that much of my time and my education and whatever else to produce this product service, that no, I'm not going to feel guilty. It's what it is. And if they don't like it, well, then they don't need to have it. So
you aren't forcing anybody to hire you. And it's not even the value of your time. It's, as you said, it's the value of your expertise. You did all the failure on your own time and dime, so they don't have to. It's the value of the transformation. I need to take myself and my worth out of the equation, because how I feel about myself is just blows with the wind. So I have to focus on actually not myself, but the person that I'm speaking to. Do I believe in them? How much do I think that they're worth? What do I think is possible for them? Am I the right person to help them with what they need? And then if I see the vision and what they need is like what I'm good at, and they want me to work with them, then I will tell them, I will usually give them 3 options of how to work with each other. And I will let them decide what is right for them, because they're grown-ups and I trust them to know what is right for them. And I kind of position it in my mind's eye as the Rolls Royce, which is everything I can possibly give them. Like, I'm doing retreats, we're going to throw that in. Yeah, just like everything that I can give them, that's the Rolls Royce. And then I might have the Audi, which is a very fine car. It's not the Rolls, but it's a really good, fancy car. And then I don't know if you have this in Australia, then we have the Ford Fiesta,
Yes, we
which,
have. Yeah.
right, which will get you places. It's a good car. It's not a Rolls, but it'll get you to your destination. And so I'll have the Rolls, I'll have the Audi, and I'll have the Ford Fiesta offer. And then I don't have any attachment. I might have an idea what I only offer 3 things that I know will really serve them, and I will let them decide what is right for them. And here's the thing is, if I tell them about the Rolls, but they buy the Ford Fiesta, they know about the Rolls. And they may come back for the Rolls later. But I don't have to do any weird manipulation or upsell. Ugh. They know it's there. They know what's good for them. And my job is just to love them and help them and guide them safely through the places that they couldn't go themselves to get to where they want to go. And one thing that I also wanted to say is I'm talking a mile a minute. I'm throwing in way, way, way too much information because I have a tendency to do that. And if you're watching or listening, I want you to breathe. I'm not expecting anyone to master this in a half hour. I'm trying to throw in 30 years in a half hour, which is not very kind. If you take away 2 or 3% of what I've said, you are a hero. So take a breath, listen to it again. I have a whole website of resources. I have hundreds of articles and videos on my blog. I have my book to walk you through the process and what to do after. So lots and lots of support for you after this. And if you're watching or listening and you have an interesting breakthrough, be sure to let me know because I did that stuff. Just like go to my website, morganarae.com, and just, contact me and let me know what happened. And I'll ask you if I can put you on my wall of fame. By the way, there are tons of people on my wall of fame who just heard me talk and had something fantastic happen. And that's fun. So let me know, please.
Lovely, Morgana. Thank you so much. It's a lot of the things that you spoke about are a lot of the things that I'm now doing with money and, showing my appreciation. And, before I go to sleep every night, I always thank my money for everything that I have because, I wouldn't have the clothes on my back. I wouldn't have a roof over my head. I wouldn't have my belly full of food, shoes, whatever. So I always make sure that every single night I thank my money for everything that I have. And I always make sure to thank the universe for any blessings that have come to me, past, present, or future, because I believe that the universe listens. And if you send out positive vibes, then that's what you'll get back.
I love that. I love everything you said. I think all of that, those are great practices. And I'd be interested to hear what happens if you dig up your monster and reject your monster and get it out of the way. Because what happens is when we have the monster, even when you're doing everything right and you're having success, there's still a little bit of your foot on the brake. And while I would love to skip the monster part, because who wants to dig up, feelings of not being loved or worthy or safe? We spend our whole lives zoning out on Netflix so we don't have to feel those feelings. But it's so powerful. Those experiences that you had, your victim experiences are a huge source of power. They're sacred or they wouldn't happen. And you've been through it and you've paid the price. So you might as well milk it. And sometimes I say when you have the monster and you have the honey and you're stuck in the middle, it's like being in money mud because you need polarity. Polarity is magic. And if I'm really crude, I would say the bed's not big enough for your monster and your honey at the same time. So what you're doing is working and I think is brilliant and everybody should be modeling you. I love that. Keep doing that. And I invite you, if you want, you don't have to, but if you want, it might be interesting to dig up and slay your monster and then immediately invite in a really hot, romantic, loving, nurturing, protective money honey. Don't just do the monster and wander off. Like, bring in the honey immediately and then see what happens and let me know.
I will do. Yes, I will. Yes, I do still have some little monsters around. So yes, but yeah, it's a good idea to get it out and just slay them. I'm working on it, but yeah, he's still around. All right, Morgana. Where is your book available to purchase?
This book?
Yes.
It is available everywhere. So Barnes and Noble, if you have that there, like every bookstore, Amazon. It's physical only because the first part is all book. And then the second part is a self-coaching system. And it's 12 months of magic and manifestation. So I wrote the book that I needed, which is not something that I read, ooh, that's a good idea, and then I put it away, but something that made me open it up and stay on track every day. And that's when I started getting like really big results. So yeah, Amazon, you can ask for it at your local bookseller and they can order it. It's printed everywhere.
Perfect.
So just Financial Alchemy, 12 months of magic and manifestation. And when you get it, go back to my website, morganarae.com, click on the book page, enter your name, email, and receipt number, and you will get a 2-hour Q&A call walking you through the book. That is secret. It's not in the book. It's not on any website. The only people who know about it are the people I tell about it. So you're in the club and you get the extra.
Wonderful stuff. Lovely. Morgana, thank you so much. It's been a really enlightening conversation, and I've really enjoyed listening to your 7 tips. They've been really great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Talking with the experts.